Mr. Raj Joshua Thomas.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Prisons Amendment Bill will introduce, amongst other things, the Employment Preparation Scheme, or EMPS, which would allow offenders in prison to be released for employment or to participate in educational or occupational training programs. This will supplement the current Community-Based Programs Framework, or CBPs, and help ex-offenders improve their employability and facilitate their reintegration into society. Ma'am, the statistics show that CBPs and similar reintegration efforts have played a big part in lowering the likelihood of reoffending. As reported by the Straits Times, offenders placed on CBPs in the period 2016 to 2018 had a 16% recidivism rate, as compared to 26% for offenders who were not on such programs. Therefore, we can expect that the new EMPS, together with the CBPs, will lead to a further reduction in recidivism. Of course, it also bears stating that, as mentioned by MOS and several honourable members who spoke before me, that Singapore already has one of the lowest two-year recidivism rates in the world. And the current two-year recidivism rate of 22% is one of the lowest we have ever had, although the five-year rates are higher. So MHA and the Singapore Prison Service really should be commended for not just sitting on their laurels, but working to continually improve the system, including with this new EMPS, to try to further lower recidivism rates. In particular, Part 6B, Section 59K of the amended Act makes provision for inmates to participate in any place outside the limits of the prison in which the prisoner is detained, in any educational or occupational training program, or any other activity for the purpose of facilitating the prisoner to be gainfully employed that may be specified in the order, and follows with conditions stipulated in the bill. Madam, while recognizing the relevance and the importance of the new EMPS, I have 3 points as regards the implementation of the program. First, Section 59L of the amended Act sets out the Commissioner's considerations as regards whether an offender is suitable for employment preparation. On this, I hope that the SPS will adopt a liberal interpretation to the stipulations, and that eventually all but the most recalcitrant or unresponsive of offenders would be eligible for the EMPS and other reintegration schemes. The reason for this is that incarceration terms inevitably end at some point. An effort ought to be made for the rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders, even if they have shown themselves to be unresponsive at first. In fact, it may well be that the offenders who need these schemes most are precisely those who appear less responsive, and as they may have the most difficulty reintegrating and the highest risk of reoffending. Second, given our aging population, the number of elderly ex-offenders returning to society will increase. Already, we can see, based on data from the SPS, that the number of convicted inmates aged 51 and above in the period 2012 to 2017 has increased by 70%, and the number of inmates aged 60 years and above tripled over the same period. Older offenders returning to society may face greater challenges trying to find employment. A study by the Singapore Aftercare Association published in December 2018 found that elderly ex-offenders had difficulties finding employment upon their release. One of the reasons highlighted was their loss of motivation to go for courses or to upgrade their skills. One of the study participants was quoted as saying, and I read the quote verbatim, "I don't have any skills, no qualifications, no license. Now most classes are in English. Another thought is that I'm already at this age, just pass each day as it is, no motivation to upgrade." In this connection, I urge the SPS and its partners to consider older inmates as a distinct group under the EMPS that may need to develop skills and have employment preparation specific to their age group. This could help avoid the sense of helplessness some of them feel once they are released, when they are faced with the real pressures of getting a job, being financially independent, and for some of them, having to support members of their family. Finally, I would also like to suggest that another distinct group that ought to be administered in a differentiated manner and this was also mentioned by the Honourable Member, Mr. Melvin Yong, are offenders who have been in prison for an extended period of time. These inmates may need to be on such schemes for longer to catch up with skills and to be mentally prepared to return to the workplace. Madam, to conclude, I am glad that MHA and the SPS are taking further measures to assist offenders to rehabilitate and reintegrate. Our ex-offenders are also part of our Singapore core, and we need to make this all of society effort to make sure none of us is left behind or left out. Notwithstanding my clarifications and suggestions, I support the bill. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.